Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sin City back again with another What the Fuck vlog. Well, kind of, sort of vlog. This is basically an intro to what I'm about to play for you guys. We had Yoon, who is the JYJ Tour MC. We had him on our show last week, and some of the responses to the interview were great, and you guys loved it, thought it was hilarious, and that's awesome. But then there were some people who did not like it. So, which is fine. Not everybody's gonna like everything we do, but there were some comments that were left that I felt that needed to be addressed, and we did that on this week's show. So, what I'm about to play for you guys is a response to those people who left those negative comments, which is fine. At least they weren't like fuck you guys are terrible. Fine. These were I guess I would say there were more misunderstandings more than anything else. So, I will be back with an official What the Fuck vlog soon. Most likely during the holidays, I'll film something. But I wanted to put this up, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check out the Yoon interview. It's right here on our YouTube channel. And, let us know what you think. And I kind of debated on whether to put it up or not because I saw what was going on our site. But went ahead and decided, go ahead and do it. Whatever. So it is up. So go back, check our video section. It is there. And then if you have any questions, you can come back here and listen to our response to some of the things that were left by other people. And hopefully it'll clear up all the misunderstandings. And yeah. So I'll be back soon with a new What the Fuck vlog, and I'll stop half-assing it and stop doing it on my webcam. And yeah, make sure you check us out, AsianPopAddict.com. We do have our 2010 Fuckery Awards going on right now, where you can vote for your favorites. And voting does end this Monday, the 27th, at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Vote, 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 vote. And next week's show will be our grand finale 2010 show, where we'll announce the winners of the Fuckery Award. And maybe, just maybe, your faves will be on our show to accept their awards. Alright, so here's our response. It's a two-parter because, I like to yammer a lot. And hopefully this clears up everything and we can move on. Like Bob Marley says, one love. Alright, people, here's the response to our Yoon interview disagreement tours. Yeah.
Alright, before we get into the actual news, we had Yoon, the JYJ tour MC, on last week, and a hilarious interview, and we thank him again for coming on. There were some comments left on our website throughout the week, and some on Twitter, not a whole lot, but a few comments that some people didn't like the interview very much, which is fine. Not everybody's gonna like their interview, but there were some things that I did want to touch on and answer. At first I was like, I was usual Sin. I was cursing up a storm and like who are these people and da. But I sat back and I took the comments and I'm going to analyze what you guys have left us and response back to you. I'm gonna read some of the comments to you guys. So one person left a comment on our site saying, what I get from the JYJ US Tour MC interview segment is that the hosts aren't even fans of K-pop. The whole interview seems to be a session of making fun of the K-pop industry. The fan culture, the group names, the music. It was entertaining, and I agree with some points that were made about the K-pop industry. But the more I kept listening, the more biased it all seemed. I wish the DJs had a better overall understanding of the K-pop industry and were able to balance both their negative and positive opinions on it. For example, most group names are intentionally creative to signify the group's image and also how fandoms have used their passion and influence for good purposes. I understand that these are just my thoughts from listening to one brief segment and that maybe the tone is what makes Asian Pop Addict unique, but I wouldn't say I'm drawn to it. Okay. To reply back to this person, first of all, I'm glad you pointed out the fact that, these are just your thoughts based on the one segment you heard, because if you were to listen to us on a regular basis, you would know that we are huge lovers of K-pop. I mean, like, especially lately, when there's not a lot going on in J-pop, we go straight to K-pop. I mean, we talk about K-pop 24/7. I mean, God forsake, I love DBSK. us not being fans of K-pop, very untrue. If you were to listen to more of the show, you would understand that more. Our thoughts that we gave during that interview were just, they were our views, yes, but also more in a joking manner. You know, the interview that we had with Shane Yoon was very lighthearted, and, you know, we asked him questions about JYJ, and he asked us questions about the whole K-pop industry because he wanted to get more understanding of it. He knew the basis of it, but, you know, there are also some things about the K-pop industry that, you know, are kind of lousy and don't make that don't make sense. And so, you know, us in doing this show, we're not a super serious show. You know, we have our moments where we do bring it down and do speak on, you know, certain serious issues. But for the most part, you know, we're a very lighthearted show. We are very much uncensored. And if that's not your cup of tea, then I completely understand. Not everybody is going to love us, you know, and that's completely understandable. And it's all up into what you like and your taste. But we are very much lovers of K-pop. The point that you made about fandoms and making fun of the fandom and their passion and things like that, we're a part of fandom for the most part. You know, we have different fandoms that we enjoy. You know, I'm a fan of TVXQ, Big Bang, so on and so forth. You know, Betty has her fandom that she likes. Dee has her fandom that she likes. We're all a part of different fandoms. In general, we're not making fun of fandoms. We're making fun of
the individuals
who do things that are kind of out there and not the norm, you know. I'm not speaking on a whole general purpose. Not everybody in fandom is crazy and cuckoo and, you know, does ridiculous things. We're not making fun of those people, and not in the least. Oh, and the part that you said about us, that we should try to gain more knowledge from the K-pop industry, or know a little bit more about the K-pop industry. And doing this show for a year and a half, I think we've pretty much grasped pretty much a lot of the K-pop industry.
In which we've known of before
we've done this show. I mean, if you were to listen back to, great example, when the whole TVXQ situation broke out back last year when it first happened, I mean, we spent an hour breaking down what was going on, you know, and even giving you insight into what happens in the record industry, being that I know a little bit about it. I mean, you know, I'm glad that you did point out that, you know, this was just your opinion and listening to the interview. But I would suggest, you know, try listening back to some of our old shows, and you'll see that we do know quite some of K-pop, and we are great lovers of K-pop. And, you know, we are we're a show that takes, you know, in a world of serious situations, you guys can come here and laugh for a couple hours, because that's what we're here for. You know, we do talk about the serious things, but we also, you know, we have to make fun of some of the, you know, little ridiculous nuances that happen in K-pop. That, you know, that's what it is. This is the show. If you don't like the show, that's fine. I know not everybody's going to fall in love with it, and it's not everybody's humor, and it happens. It's fine. Another person left a comment on our site saying, I agree with the previous commenter said. I really like the host. I really feel like the hosts were looking down on the majority of K-pop fans and idol groups, and that's always a huge turnoff for me. Whether it was intended or not, that's how it came off. I understand this is a tiny sample, but when doing an interview like this, segment is all that a lot of listeners are going to come for and have to go by to judge if they care to listen more. It may not be the best time to go with humor that listeners don't know you already won't get. If it bugs them enough, I guess I don't want to listen. Blah, blah, blah. I personally listened to this only for Shane Yu's interview, and this reaffirmed my choice to stay far, far away from online radio. I much rather read a transcript and be saved by the annoying laughing of the host being so loud as to drown out what he was saying quite often. I appreciate he's funny and it's all great. You're all having fun, but maybe covering your mouths or turning away from the mic would be nice under the circumstances. Sorry that this is so negative. I do appreciate you all taking the time to contact and interview Shane and share it, but I just found the result disappointing and irritating. That is one of the things I will apologize for. Probably the only thing I will apologize for is that I didn't realize during the time was that Betty and Anna's mic were so loud, because the thing is they at times speak so low, so I have to turn up their microphones in order to pick up what they're saying. So when they do end up laughing, it does become really loud and overpowering. So for that instance, I will apologize for that. At times during the interview, the laughter was a bit loud, but I won't apologize for us laughing in general. You know, the interview was fun, carefree, and, you know, we were laughing at what each other were saying during the interview. But the only thing I will apologize for is that the volume was a little bit loud, and it did kind of drown out Shane Yu at certain points, but that's it. I understand what this commenter is saying, and, you know, maybe we shouldn't be our usual selves during an interview because certain people will only come for the interview. But I, for one, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the girls, but I, for one, can't, you know, pretend who I'm not. I'm not going to fake it for anybody. If I enjoy a guest, I'm going to enjoy myself. If I don't like a guest, I'm not going to enjoy myself. You know, I don't want to pretend during an interview that we're one way, and then when you don't listen to an interview and you listen to our show, we're another way. You know, what you get from us is what you're going to get. During an interview or not in an interview, that's how we are 24/7. And again, you know, if it's not your cup of tea, you're more than welcome to move on. And, you know, I greatly appreciate you guys for taking the time to listen to the interview. And if we've gained new listeners, welcome. I'm glad that you guys stayed around. And if we didn't, then, you know, that's the way it goes. We're not going to always please everybody. One more person left a comment saying, I was mildly insulted by the parts of the Shane Yoon interview. I'm an admin of WBSK Nights, a site that you have said you like in the past and even link on your A-Papa Loves column. And you basically called it a haven for crazies. I can understand you wanting to distance yourself from real whack jobs in the privative K-pop, but in the meantime, you are alienating your listeners. Okay. Yes, I do love DBSK Nights. You know, I do frequent your website and for information and for stuff on, you know, TVXQ in a whole. But nowhere in that interview did we say that fandom is a haven for crazies. The part that I think that this person is talking about is the part where we said that on the way we follow fandom is through Twitter, and we follow the fandoms to get information and follow what's going on so that we can report it back to you guys. We're not saying that websites, forums, things of that nature is a haven for crazy people. You know, I myself am part of one TVXQ forums and the 21 forum and the Big Bang forum. Nowhere did we say during that interview that those are havens for crazy people. Not in the least. There are people in K-pop, fans of K-pop, who do take fandom to the extreme. But that's not everyone. And that's not what we said during the interview. We didn't say everyone is crazy. You guys are all lunatics. You guys are all, you know, out of your minds. That's not what we said. We said there are certain people within the fandoms that do take it to the extreme overboard that you're just like, okay, you know, you have to take a step back and realize that you don't want to be a part of that. So yeah, in terms of if you took offense to it, you know, don't take offense to it, because in my opinion, what we said, those are our views. They're not everybody's views, and that's fine. But there are things about certain things about K-pop and fandom that, you know, I don't agree with. There are a lot of good things that come out of fandom. People do get together, you know, for charity work and get together and raise money, you know, for the artists that they like. And, you know, there are things that are really great about fandom, but there's also a dark side to it. And, you know, I'm not going to...
The very dangerous dark side.
The very dangerous dark side. I mean, if you listen to the freaking stuff we talked about, you know, throughout the whole year, you know...
If you listen to the artists themselves, they've been threatened, whether by their own fans or anti-fans.
Oh, yeah. You know, that's what we were talking about.
They end up getting hospitalized.
Mm-hmm. Hello, the Tableau situation.
Move.
Like, it's...
Their parents are scared. Their family relatives are being stalked. Fandom is, you know... There's people out there that take it a little too far.
Exactly. No, that's the side we were speaking about, the dark side of fandom. There's a really great side of fandom where it's fun and rainbows and sunshine and we all get along and, you know, it's great. We've met some great people through fandom, you know, especially through Twitter and doing the show. We've met a lot of great people.
Of course.
But what the parts that we were speaking of with Shane in terms of fandom was the dark side of fandom
that no one else wants to touch on.
Right. And
of course we're going to touch on it. We are uncensored.
Exactly. We give our views on those sort of things.
We give our views that certain people censored, whether it be radio or you're watching an interview on TV or whatever, can't and won't say.
Exactly.
They're not going to touch on the craziness. They're not going to just... Plus, they don't have permission to go up to an artist and be like, oh, so how'd you deal with that crazy girl that was hanging out your house last week?
Exactly.
They can't do that.
Exactly, they can't.